Nintendo is having some issues with development time. As you can tell, it seems like it's taking Nintendo a very long time to develop new games in each franchise. For instance, we are now almost 8 years away from the last 3D Mario, from Mario Odyssey in 2017, and it took them about 11 years to finally give us a new Mario Kart after Mario Kart 8 originally released on the Nintendo Wii U, got a deluxe version on the Switch, and DLC at the end of the Switch's life cycle. So Nintendo has a plan for how they're going to have more games coming, and it might give us a hint as to what we could expect very soon. Real quick, I just wanted to let you guys know we have a goal to possibly reach 400,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know it'd be a pretty large number, but I think we could do it. We are super close to 370, so if you're watching this video right now and you're not subscribed, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Let's see how many we can get from this single video today. You guys mean the world. Let's jump into the news. In Nintendo's recent investor meeting Q&A, one of the questions asked was, as stated, "I'm concerned that the improved performance of Nintendo Switch 2 will lead to higher game development costs, which in turn could result in higher software prices and ultimately a decrease in the gaming population. What measures are you considering to address this?" And Furukawa states, "Recent game software development has become larger in scale and longer in duration, resulting in higher development costs. The game business has always been a high-risk business, and we recognize that our rising development costs are increasing that risk. Our development teams are devising various ways to maintain our traditional approach to creating games amidst the increasing scale and length of development. We believe it is important to make the necessary investments for more efficient development. We also believe it is possible to develop game software with shorter development periods that still offer consumers a sense of novelty. We see this as one potential solution to the concern about rising development costs and software prices, and we will explore it from various angles within the company." So ideally, Nintendo wants to create more smaller games with shorter development cycles in between their larger games as well, while keeping those larger games as traditional as ever, which is super cool. Now, Nintendo has been doing this. This isn't anything new. For instance, there's lots of IPs out there that have tons of these spin-offs. Mario has tons, from sports games, parties, RPGs, Mario Kart, and even games like Captain Toad. Zelda has tons of warrior games now, and they even did Cadence of Hyrule once. Kirby has billions of them, from Dream Buffet, Fighters, Battle Royales, Clashes, Air Riders coming very, very soon, Canvas and Rainbow Curse. We can go on and on and on. Animal Crossing did try Amiibo Festival, which it wasn't a great one, and we know Splatoon is having a pretty big one coming very soon in the form of Splatoon Raiders, which is actually a pretty big deal as its first spin-off and also a major single-player adventure-style game that it's looking like it's going to be. So yes, this is exciting news for someone that loves all sorts of Nintendo games, whether it be their main series games or even small little spin-offs to keep us tied over until the main games. So I wanted to go through all of Nintendo's franchises and talk about what spin-off games that we could be expecting soon for Nintendo Switch 2 and why these make the most sense. But let's dive into Mario first, and of course we're still waiting for the next 3D Mario game, and I do believe it's really soon. I mean, I'm really hoping it's really soon, but there's still so many other Mario spin-offs and things that we could get for Nintendo in the Switch 2 era. I mean, we're probably very close to the next Mario Maker. Mario Maker 3 could either go the 2D route again with more game styles, maybe Mario Wonder gets slipped in there, some more of the 3D games like Galaxy, or even like Sunshine or 64 gets thrown into the 2D style, or maybe we just straight up get in Mario Maker 3D. Luigi's Mansion is not quite big enough yet to where I could see us getting Luigi's Mansion spinoff, so I still consider it a Mario spinoff, but Luigi's Mansion 4, made by Next Level Games, should be happening very soon as well. We also have Mario RPG 2. Now, we just got Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake and Mario & Luigi Brothership, so maybe Nintendo actually gets Square Enix again to make another Mario RPG as we wait for those RPGs as well. They have so many under their belts now, including Mario Rabbids if they want to continue with that, where there's like 4 different Mario RPGs that they can interchange in between, like every year or every 2 years would be really cool. We could also finally get a Mario Warriors game. I mean, we've gotten 3 Hyrule Warriors games, so maybe finally giving us a Mario one would be awesome in the next Mario sports game. The last one was Mario Strikers Battle League, which we all know how that went, so it's time for the next sports game, whether it be baseball or basketball. Camelot hasn't made a game in forever. They always just do golf or tennis, so I'm hoping they expand their horizons and do something different and more ambitious. So baseball or basketball would make the most sense to me. Yoshi is also its own franchise, but I'm just throwing it in here because to me, when I get a new Yoshi game, that to me is like a Mario spinoff. So maybe finally giving us a 3D Yoshi game, whether it be a 3D Yoshi's Island or a 3D Wool game like Woolly or Crafted World would be pretty cool. Wario also, once again, I know, has his own franchise, but just for this video's sake, I'm counting him as a Mario spinoff, because when I get a new Wario Land game, I consider that a spinoff from the Mario Bros games. So maybe a new Wario Land game or another 3D game like Wario World would be really cool to get on Switch 2. And finally, a new Captain Toad game. I mean, they milked the life out of Captain Toad 1. I mean, Wii U, the Switch, the 3DS, DLC. So please give us a big, new, expansive Captain Toad game with bigger, wider levels and worlds with more puzzles in each world. I think they could really do something interesting with that. Now, as we wait for the next 2D or 3D Zelda game, I would love a Zelda fighting game. Let's put Warriors to the side for a while. I mean, we have 3 games already. Let's do something different. And I know we had like Link's crossbow training back on the Wii, but besides that, we really haven't had much. So I would love a fighting game, kind of like Tekken or even like Soul Calibur. I just recently played Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube NSO, and it was really cool to be able to play with Link in a 2D fighting game like this, or kind of 2D/3D fighting game. But something that's not like a platform fighter like Smash Bros, but one with tons of combos and like different button inputs, and you got tons of characters throughout the franchise. I mean, just look at the Warriors games that pull from all these characters. They could have wacky, goofy, funny characters and serious ones as well. There's so many games to pull from. It would be really awesome. I also would really love to see a Souls-like Zelda game. Remember that Nintendo was working on some type of Sheik game that was going to dive into the lore of the Sheikah tribe, and it was going to be darker. Could you imagine if that was a Souls-like game where you create your own Sheik member, and you develop, skills and abilities, and you can pick up different weapons and stuff, and it's just like a Souls-like game with creepy, dark, Zelda-style enemies and bosses that you have to battle and stuff over a giant open world would be awesome. I would also love to see some type of Hyrule party game or something like that, where you play lots of mini games that pull from various different Zelda games throughout the series and stuff would be pretty cool. Or maybe a building game. Tears of the Kingdom had some of the best building mechanics or crazy mechanics in general that I've ever seen in a video game. I feel like those mechanics should be used for something else. Can you imagine a game where instead of like the 30 or 40 things that you have to build stuff with in Tears of the Kingdom, you now have like 400, 500 different parts where you can build your own contraptions, like just like a big The Legend of Zelda Hyrule's Garage or something, you know what I mean? Where you're just building things, you can test them out, do little missions and stuff, maybe battle enemies with them, would be really cool. Or maybe they just straight up give us a dungeon maker. We know that Aonuma stated that he had no plans to do a Zelda dungeon maker right now, but they did kind of test the waters a little bit with it, with I think Link's Awakening, where they allowed you to, build your own little dungeons in the remake and stuff, and they gave you like a bunch of preset rooms that you can put anywhere. So something like that, but to a larger scale would be pretty cool, and I would love to play people's dungeons, maybe different game styles like Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and stuff like that would be awesome. Shoot, I feel like Nintendo could even do a Zelda roguelike game. They kind of did with the DLC with Breath of the Wild, where you'd go through various floors with nothing and gain lots of materials until you get to the final floor. Something like that in a whole video game would be awesome, where there's like multiple floors and like different styles of Zelda, and you have to like start with nothing and fight all these crazy enemies and bosses and stuff and survive in these rooms of enemies trying to attack you. Some type of survival game, maybe like how you got to that island in Breath of the Wild, that Koholint Island, where you pretty much have nothing and you need to get all your stuff to survive. Maybe you have to eat to survive and drink certain things to survive and stay hydrated. Some type of Zelda survival game just sounds like a dream come true. I mean, all of these sound great, but that one just in particular sounds like something that would work great with Nintendo's ideas. Now, like I previously stated, there's a lot of things that they can do with Kirby. I mean, Kirby is just like this endless pool of fresh ideas for spin-off games, and they've already done a lot, but they can expand on more thanks to Forgotten Land, which has actually allowed them to jump into the 3D space more. So maybe a 3D fighting game now, like Kirby Fighters 3D would be pretty cool, or that Kirby Battle Royale game on the 3DS, which was kind of like that overhead camera free roam battle royale game that they had with fighting each other with different copy abilities. I think something like that in a full 3D game with the camera behind your character could be pretty awesome as well. We could also get a party game. I'm surprised this hasn't happened yet, because Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe had a Merry Magoland game mode, which was just filled with mini games that referenced past Kirby games, which was pretty cool. So I'm surprised they don't have like a full-fledged Kirby party game where there's like game boards and mini games or just party games that you can play. I feel like something like that just makes too much sense. We could also get a Kirby RPG, maybe something similar to Paper Mario or Mario & Luigi, but with Kirby and Kirby's characters. I think could be pretty cool. I don't know what form that could take, but you know, I would love to see more RPGs shooting off to more games. I mean, I could have said that for any game on this list, even Zelda, but I don't know. Something about a Kirby RPG sounds like it'd be super fun. And then a Kirby Warriors game. We've only had a single game that wasn't Zelda with Warriors, which was Fire Emblem Warriors, and we have 3 Zelda Warriors games, so I think it's time for them to expand into a different Nintendo IP, and I think Kirby would make a lot of sense. There's tons of Waddle Dees and Waddle Doos and different Kirby enemies on the battlefield, and you can choose some of, you know, the greatest characters throughout Kirby's franchise. I mean, we have so many. Just look at Star Allies that brought like all the main characters back. Any of those could work in a Warriors game. So being able to play as some of the greatest villains and heroes in Kirby's history would be a lot of fun, and of course a Warriors style. Now apparently there are some rumors that a Pikmin spin-off game is being planned, which would make me super excited, because I do think there's tons of things that they could do with Pikmin spin-offs. You can do a night survival game like Pikmin 4 had, where you go out at night with the glow Pikmin, and you had to survive the onslaught of the creatures that would come at you at night with those glowing red eyes. So a whole survival game where maybe you have to just keep surviving the night, or like you're just in charge of the night crew and your job is just to always go out at night, do certain tasks and stuff. Just a big Pikmin survival would be pretty cool. Or what about a solo astronaut game as one of the explorers, or you just play as Olimar or Louie or something, and you're just like alone. Maybe there's no Pikmin, or maybe you have only like 1 to 3 Pikmin, and you have to use them very uniquely. Instead of swarms of Pikmin, you only have a couple, and you have to use more of your devices and technology that you brought with your ship and your planet. Would be really cool, just kind of like a solo adventure game. And then you can have one where maybe you play as the Pikmin themselves, or maybe, you know, control the Pikmin and you like move them around in groups and stuff, and maybe it's just, you know, you already kind of do that in the main Pikmin games, but maybe some sort of game where you can see how the Pikmin grow, you can go into the onions and stuff, and I don't know, some type of game where you play as the Pikmin. It just sounds unique. Or some type of zoo sim where you're taking care of the creatures in their own facilities, you're feeding them, keeping eyes on them, making sure they're growing and stuff. Or maybe a Pikmin RPG or an MMO style of game would work pretty well as well. I mean, there's a lot of places that you can move the Pikmin series in. So I would love to see more spin-offs, especially as we wait for Pikmin 5, which is probably going to be a very long time, because the wait from 3 to 4 was horrible. Star Fox just needs a new game. Honestly, like, it really just needs a new game to revive itself. So I highly doubt we're going to be getting any spin-off games anytime soon. We've had a couple. I mean, you could say Battle for Atlas had the Star Fox characters, so in a way it's like a Star Fox spin-off. And then you had that one, you know, pack-in game that came with like Star Fox Zero, where you like controlled the cameras with Slippy and his uncle or something. So yeah, what if we had a Star Fox racing game, something like Kirby Air Riders? There was actually a rumor, I think, a long time ago that Nintendo was working on it, or I don't know if it was like a ploy thing that Nintendo sent out to catch leakers, but there was some type of rumor that there was a Star Fox racing game coming, and I think that'd actually be a really cool idea, where you could have like space drifting and stuff and customize your R-Wing. It'd be kind of similar between like, you know, Kirby Air Ride and also F-Zero, but I could see that being unique, and maybe some sections, you know, you go into the boat, or you're tanked with the Landmaster, or, you know, into that chicken walker thing from Star Fox Zero, and you race that way on the ground, the sea, the air, the space. Like, it could be really cool. Or I could see just a Star Fox battle game called like Star Fox Dogfight or something, where it could have 1v1s, 2v2s, 4v4 battles, local player or online, where you just battle each other. There's tons of different mechanics you can learn, like, you know, like I said, like air drifting or something, and, you know, flipping around, barrel rolling, and trying to find out ways to fight other players, and the best strategy and stuff could be really cool. You could have like a giant mosh pit of like 20 players, last one standing wins. But honestly, Nintendo, just please make a new Star Fox. I can see that battle mode just being a side mode to the next Star Fox game in general, so I guess we just need Star Fox straight up. Next, we have Donkey Kong. I wanted to give Donkey Kong his own spotlight, unlike Wario and Yoshi, simply due to the fact that he does have spin-off games that's happened in the past. For instance, for the Switch 2, I would love to see a new King of Swings game. I love the one for the Game Boy, the original. I think DK Jungle Climber was a DS game I only played once. Don't remember much about it, but I would love to see a new one. Why not? Also, maybe even a new Donkey Konga that actually uses the Joy-Con as the Congos this time around instead of having to go buy some. I still have my Congos from the GameCube, so I mean, I'll pull them back out if Nintendo was to somehow make them compatible. But then you could also have a Donkey Kong Country Maker. Could you imagine if there was like different styles from DKC 1, 2, 3, and then like a Return/Tropical Freeze one? That would be so cool. We could design our own little levels with tons of mechanics like vines and ropes and, you know, bramble everywhere and blast barrels. Oh, that would be awesome. I think I would enjoy that way more than Mario Maker. I seriously would. And then you could have a Donkey Kong RPG. How would this work? I don't know. Maybe different members of the Kongs like DK, Diddy, Dixie, Chunky, Lanky, and stuff. And they all have like different abilities and stuff. And you know, you're just going up against the Kremlings. And just a big RPG adventure would definitely be something I'd be interested in. But I very specifically want the Donkey Kong Country Maker. I feel like I want that before the next Mario Maker, honestly. I don't want to stay too long on Splatoon because, I mean, it could be anything. The Splatoon franchise is growing more and more each day with 3 mainline games under its belt with multiple DLCs and probably a 4th one coming relatively soon for Switch 2, and it's a pretty good reason why they're probably coming out with Splatoon Raiders to have us wait still about a couple years until Splatoon 4, which is perfectly fine. But what other spin-offs could Splatoon have? Generally anything. They could have a whole game about painting, maybe using the different weapons to paint things or something, maybe its own sports games like beach volleyball or something like that. They could have a survival zombie style game like they obviously have right now with the Salmon Run mode, maybe a full game dedicated to that survival zombie style of game, all about the Salmonid, maybe giving whole lore to the Salmonid and stuff. I'd be completely down for that. So generally, anything would work. I mean, we even had a roguelike DLC with Side Order, so they could have a whole game that's just pretty much a huge Splatoon roguelike game. So yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless with this brand new, fresh franchise, and it's exciting to see that they're already getting some spin-offs made, so I can't wait to see more. We then have Metroid. Metroid could have a lot of fun spin-offs. You could have Metroid Maker, very similar to Mario Maker and even my Donkey Kong Country Maker ideas. We could even have a Souls-like Metroid game, but in space. So maybe there's like a bunch of really creepy creatures that you gotta hunt down, which also leads me to another idea I had, kind of like a Monster Hunter style of Metroid game, where maybe it's like a horror monster hunting game, where you have to go through a facility that's like a whole bunch of creatures broke free. Think of like Metroid Other M in that space station facility where all those creatures broke free and was running all over the place. This time you have to track down specific creatures and hunt them down. You have to take the necessary gear that you need, find the extra gear that you need out there, and then hunt that monster down and find it. So that has like this creepy dark aesthetic to it. All the lights are off in the facility and stuff. That would be awesome. And then maybe a game where you play as a Metroid. This would probably work better as a mobile game. But remember that game Hungry Shark Evolution, where you played as a shark, and every time you ate some type of creature, you'd grow bigger and bigger and bigger, something like that with Metroid, where the different phases of a Metroid, where you could grow into like a Metroid Queen, or maybe you can corrupt some Phazon and turn into a Dark Samus type of Metroid, like a Metroid Prime would be pretty cool. So there's a lot of things they could do with like a game where you actually play as a Metroid and you just feed off of other creatures and stuff. I think that would be awesome. I remember they tried to make this Arena Blast Ball game a thing with Metroid Federation Force, which just doubled down on that terrible game. Not terrible. It wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. But still, I would have rather them just made maybe a big multiplayer versus game. Like for instance, in Metroid Prime Hunters, you could actually play as the various different hunters that had different abilities, different weapons as well, and different transformations into their morph ball or whatever they morphed into. I would really love something like that, where you could choose from a big array of different hunters and stuff and go into this 3D Metroid Prime arena where you hunt each other down and fight each other with cool abilities and stuff. That would be so much fun. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival was pretty much a disaster, and I feel like it's just because it had a great idea but executed in the worst possible way. Instead of having all these amiibo that you needed to in order to play the game and have all these boards and stuff with no mini games and a bunch of just dialogue with nothing really going on, they should have just had this be a Mario Party style of game where there was just a basic board with tons of little party mini games that, you know, took you around the island and did multiple mini games based on the things that you do in the game, like, you know, moving furniture in a certain way and stuff. Just a whole bunch of fun mini games that, you know, the family could enjoy. That's what it should have been, a true Mario Party, you know, look-alike at the end of the day. And I think it would have done so much better, but instead it was like this boring, horrible amiibo game, especially when people were really waiting for the next Animal Crossing on Wii U and it never came. So yeah, I feel like they should do this again, try again, but with more of a party focus with fun mini games and stuff that the whole family can enjoy. And finally, last but not least, I have Xenoblade. Now, I only played the first game, so it's hard for me to kind of come up with something super crazy, as there's still 2 more games for me to play. Actually 3 more if I include Xenoblade X. But I feel like it'd be cool if this game also took in the, you know, vein of what I said with Zelda, with the Souls-like, in the same way for Xenoblade, like a Xenoblade Souls-like, where there's lots of big, crazy creatures all over these worlds and these maps. So it'd be really cool if they had like a, you know, real-time combat battle system where we had to hunt these things down, find them, fight them, and there's like this giant open world map, tons of crazy creatures and bosses that we have to fight, and it's like an extremely difficult game. Because I'd watched the cutscenes and stuff of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I was like, man, I just really wish we could like free fight some of these things like this, like use some of these moves that we see Shulk doing and stuff, and just have free combat with shields, parries, you know, dodges, rolls. That'd be so cool. So I don't know, I think a Xenoblade Dark Souls style game would be very unique and awesome for Nintendo. So as you can tell, there's a lot of spin-off opportunity for Nintendo's IPs, and I think they will definitely help us wait for these, you know, mainline series of games that we wait so long for now. It seems like it's getting up there to like 8, 9, 10 years even until the next game. So hopefully as Nintendo finds ways to cut development time down a little bit, or if they are getting higher, at least they can have other parts of the studio, other companies, you know, actually working on these spin-off games in order to cut down that time in our brains, technically. So like, you know, for instance, having these smaller games as we wait 8 years is not going to feel too long, as we still have things to play. But let me know in the comments down below if I missed any ideas for any of these IPs that you have, and comment them down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and like always, I hope you all have a blessed day. See you guys.